and we would use it as a guest house. And we came upon this snapping turtle floating strangely near the shoreline. The question of the day is, can we get all 3 PEX pipes pulled through the PVC sleeve? Good morning. We are off to look at a fiberglass trailer that is small enough to be pulled by the Subaru, and we would use it as a guest house. And you'll only ever see this if we actually bring it back. Well, by now you know that it did turn out to be an exciting day trip because we came back with a little guest house on wheels. If you have been following our channel for a while, you already know that we are fond of molded fiberglass trailers, which are pretty difficult to shop around for when you are ready to buy one. So we will dedicate a future episode to a proper tour of the 10-year-old Scamp 13 that we purchased from a family of 4 who had outgrown it. My mother was the first person to stay over in the Scamp on our property, and she thought it was pretty great. There was a time when we used to look forward to the dump truck bringing the sand. Well, now we see the dump truck coming and we're like, a new pile of sand. All 25 piers are now poured. You can see a nice circle, and the clock starts ticking on the curing of the concrete. About a week after the last 8 footings were poured, so a week from today, he can start putting the brackets onto the footings so the piers can go in the brackets. I know it seems like we are always moving sand these days, and it kind of seems that way to us too, but we have cut back our shoveling shifts to a couple of hours at a time, and that way we can make progress but still get other things done.
So now I've just marked the points on each pier where the post should sit, and so now I'm trying to get the height of each post so I can figure out how much material I need to get. And what I'm going to have Jill do is I'm going to read off the height on each pad, and she's going to write it on its corresponding spot on the paper, and then I can put it into a software and figure out how many of each size post I need to get. 17 3/4.
One day, we took advantage of a trip to run an errand and did some sightseeing on the way back. A state park along the route turned out to be a beautiful place to hike. These images can't quite capture the trails on Mount Ascutney. It was shady and cool and moist, with mushrooms of every shape and color, and enormous moss-covered boulders. And from the observation tower at the top, you can see for at least 100 miles across southern Vermont and into New Hampshire and Massachusetts. While my mom was in town, I took her for a hike at a local pond, and we came upon this snapping turtle floating strangely near the shoreline. A closer look revealed not one, but two snapping turtles intent on procreation. A few moments later, a third snapper cruised by to check out the situation before it went back to minding its own business. Good morning. We are down here at the cisterns, and we're halfway through pile of work number 5. Charles is about to get started on installing the plumbing on the last tank, the one that's going to pump up to the yurt, and then we can cover that up and keep burying.
Can you hear me, Jill?
I can hear you.
Yay!
By the light of the next morning, Charles finished burying these pipes, and from this angle you can see how the cistern plumbing comes around the piece of bedrock that our contractor couldn't smash through with his excavator. Good afternoon. The question of the day is, can we get all 3 PEX pipes pulled through the PVC sleeve, that long distance that they need to go, at once, or are we going to have to separate them and put them through individually?
Just got it in here.
Getting the clothesline through the pipe was easy, but using it to pull the PEX lines took 10 minutes of tugging, pushing, bickering, and uncoiling. It did eventually work, though.
The blue one is just a spare at this point. It may possibly in the future be for a frost-free hydrant. I'm just going to put a plug in it so dirt and stuff don't get in it. This goes at the bottom of the pump, and this floats on the water to keep the intake below the surface of the water, so you're not pulling in stuff that's floating and stuff. And then as the water level falls, maybe it'll go down. That's part of what I'm going to have to figure out when I put it on. This is a Grundfos automatic pump. I'm going to lower it in with a rope. It's actually an anchor line from a boat. This is an automatic cutoff switch. Whenever it's floating, the pump will be able to run.
A lot of engineering around here requires some time spent staring at the problem to be solved, followed by some online research and updated supply lists. That turned out to be true for the pump installation, so we'll be back again in the future with an update. And it's been a week since we poured the last of the yurt footings, so we hope you'll join us for the raising of the posts very soon.